Everybody knows Spider-Man as the friendly neighborhood hero. Red and blue suit, jokes during fights, saving civilians, pulling punches. But this version, he wears black, carries a gun, lives in a broken city filled with corruption, murder, and cannibals. And unlike Peter Parker, Spider-Noir doesn't always believe people deserve mercy. Now, with Nicolas Cage's Spider-Noir series officially happening, fans are suddenly asking the same question. Who exactly is Spider-Noir? Why is he so different from every other Spider-Man? And why does this universe feel more like a horror movie than a superhero story? Because trust me, Spider-Noir's origin is way darker than most fans realize. So today, we're breaking down the full origin, powers, weaknesses, mythology, and the insane comic history behind Marvel's darkest Spider-Man ever created. And honestly, this character is absolutely terrifying. Spider-Noir comes from Earth 90,214, a dark, alternate Marvel universe set around the 1930s during the Great Depression. This world isn't colorful like normal Spider-Man stories. Everything feels cold, gray, dirty, hopeless. New York is collapsing under corruption while rich crime bosses control the streets like kings. And the worst of them all, Norman Osborn. But in this universe, Norman isn't some rich scientist secretly experimenting in a lab. He's basically a full-on crime lord known as the Goblin. And the people working under him are even worse. Vulture? Not a mechanical bird guy. This version is a literal cannibal who eats human beings. Yeah, Marvel made him that horrifying. Then you've got criminals like Hammerhead, Kraven, Montana, and Ox helping Goblin control the city through fear and violence. Meanwhile, ordinary people are starving, suffering, and barely surviving. And that's where Uncle Ben enters the story. In this universe, Ben Parker is a World War I veteran who becomes an anti-corruption activist after seeing powerful elites destroy New York from the inside. Aunt May supports him completely. And Peter Parker, he's already older here, not a teenager. He works as a photographer for the Daily Bugle under reporter Ben Urich. And just like Uncle Ben, Peter also wants to expose Norman Osborn's corruption. But there's a problem. The Daily Bugle itself is compromised. Ben Urich secretly works under Osborn's influence. Even J. Jonah Jameson is connected to Goblin's system. The entire city is rotten. Still, Peter and Uncle Ben refuse to stay silent, and that decision changes everything because Norman Osborn eventually decides they've become a problem. So Goblin's men kidnap Uncle Ben, torture him, and then hand him over to Vulture, who literally eats him alive. And Peter witnesses the entire thing. That moment completely destroys him. Goblin thought killing Ben would scare Peter into silence. Instead, it created Spider-Noir. After Uncle Ben's death, Peter becomes obsessed with exposing Norman Osborn and bringing down the entire criminal empire. Even Ben Urich starts realizing Peter has more courage than the adults around him. So secretly, he begins feeding Peter information about Goblin's operations, and eventually, Peter learns about a strange smuggling operation involving mysterious artifacts. Fearing Ben Urich might also get killed, Peter secretly follows the criminals alone to investigate. And this is where the story becomes supernatural. Inside the warehouse, the criminals are transporting strange statues shaped like spiders. One of them warns the others not to touch it, but the statue accidentally breaks open and thousands of spiders explode out from inside it. The spiders swarm everyone nearby and start tearing them apart. Peter hides above them silently, trying not to scream, and then one spider crawls onto his hand and bites him. But unlike normal Spider-Man stories, this wasn't a radioactive spider. This spider belonged to something far older, something mythical, the Spider God. Yeah, Spider-Noir's powers don't come from science, they come from a supernatural entity. After the bite, Peter sees a giant spider god appear before him, and the creature basically tells him, "I hunt the wicked and protect the innocent." Then it grants Peter its power. And in that moment, Peter Parker becomes Spider-Noir. The transformation scene is actually incredible. Peter falls through broken glass, lands perfectly, and instantly realizes his body has changed. His senses sharpen, his reflexes evolve, and for the first time since Uncle Ben's death, Peter finally has power. But instead of building a colorful superhero suit, Peter creates something personal, something inspired by Uncle Ben. He takes Ben's old World War I jacket. goggles, mask, and clothing, and turns them into the iconic Spider-Noir outfit. Even the revolver belonged to Uncle Ben. And yes, this Spider-Man kills. If criminals cross the line badly enough, Spider-Noir will absolutely pull the trigger, which already makes him completely different from most Spider-Man versions. Meanwhile, Ben Urich finally tries turning against Osborn completely, but Goblin retaliates. There's even a twist involving J. Jonah Jameson secretly arranging killings behind the scenes. Aunt May becomes a target too, and after failing to save Uncle Ben, Peter refuses to let May die as well. So Spider-Noir fully embraces his role as the city's protector. But interestingly, people rarely call him Spider-Man. Most simply call him the Spider. And honestly, that makes him sound even scarier. Now here's another major difference between Spider-Noir and regular Spider-Man. The famous line, "With great power comes great responsibility." That philosophy barely exists here, because this version of New York is already controlled by powerful elites abusing their authority. So Spider-Noir follows a darker belief instead. If power is being abused, it becomes the responsibility of the people to take it away. That's the core philosophy of this universe, not optimism, resistance. And that darker mindset changes everything about this Spider-Man. Now let's talk about his actual powers. Unlike normal Spider-Man, Spider-Noir uses organic webs instead of advanced web shooters, mostly because this version of the world lacks modern technology. He also has super strength, agility, reflexes, and enhanced senses. But overall, he's actually weaker than the mainstream Spider-Man. His spider sense is less powerful, his stamina is lower, his physical strength isn't as insane as Peter Parker from Earth 616, and there's a reason for that. His powers come from a magical spider god, not radioactive mutation, so biologically he functions differently. To compensate, Spider-Noir trains himself heavily in hand-to-hand combat and detective skills. He basically becomes a private investigator mixed with a vigilante assassin, and despite having powers, he's still vulnerable, very vulnerable. A gunshot can kill him. He's not immortal, not invincible. At the end of the day, he's still human. Now here's where things get even more confusing, because Nicolas Cage's upcoming Spider-Noir adaptation is reportedly not using Peter Parker. Instead, the character is apparently Benjamin Reilly, also known as Ben Reilly. And comic fans already know how insane that storyline is. Ben Reilly is actually a genetic clone of Peter Parker created by the villain Jackal. Jackal was obsessed with Gwen Stacy. After her death, he blamed Spider-Man and started experimenting with cloning technology using Peter's DNA, eventually creating Ben Reilly. And yes, Ben Reilly has almost all the exact same powers as Peter Parker. Same strength, same agility, same wall-crawling abilities, but his spider sense is often portrayed as even sharper and more efficient. Because unlike Peter, Ben is literally engineered for perfection. He doesn't think exactly like a normal human being, and emotionally, he can become way more unstable. If Ben loses control emotionally, he becomes incredibly dangerous. That darker personality is one reason many fans think he fits the noir universe perfectly. Comic readers will also recognize him as Scarlet Spider, because Marvel originally tried replacing Peter Parker with Ben Reilly years ago. Fans hated the idea of permanently replacing Peter. So Marvel eventually pushed Ben into his own separate identity instead. Now the live-action noir project seems to be combining parts of both versions together, which honestly sounds pretty interesting. And one final detail most fans don't know, because of certain Marvel and Sony agreements, there's a chance the series may avoid using the full Spider-Man name constantly outside the MCU, which is why many characters might simply call him the Spider. And honestly, that fits this dark universe perfectly. A shadow wearing black, glowing eyes in the darkness, a trench coat flowing through rainy New York streets, a vigilante who hunts monsters while slowly becoming one himself. That's why Spider-Noir stands out from every other Spider-Man variant ever created. He's not the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, he's Marvel's noir detective nightmare. So now I want to ask you, would you actually want Spider-Noir to become part of the MCU multiverse permanently? And do you think Nicolas Cage was the perfect casting choice for this version of Spider-Man? Drop your thoughts below, because honestly, Spider-Noir might become one of Marvel's coolest live-action characters ever.